The fundamental rights enshrined in Part 3 of the Indian Constitution, that's Articles 12 to 35, are, well, absolutely essential for ensuring individual liberty and protecting citizens from arbitrary state actions. Now let's take a closer look at a detailed breakdown of Articles 13 to 35, along with, the original 7 fundamental rights. Article 13 deals with laws inconsistent with fundamental rights. It declares that any law inconsistent with fundamental rights shall be void. This article ensures judicial review, allowing courts to strike down unconstitutional laws. It also introduces important doctrines like the doctrine of severability and the doctrine of eclipse. The right to equality, covered under Articles 14 to 18, starts with Article 14, equality before law. This article guarantees equality before the law and equal protection of laws. It prevents arbitrary discrimination by the state, making sure everyone is treated fairly. Article 15 focuses on the prohibition of discrimination. It prohibits discrimination based on religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. At the same time, it allows special provisions for women, children, and socially disadvantaged groups. Moving on, Article 16 ensures equality of opportunity in public employment. It guarantees equal opportunity in government jobs and allows reservations for backward classes. Article 17 is all about the abolition of untouchability. It declares untouchability illegal and, well, punishable by law. Then Article 18 deals with the abolition of titles. It actually prohibits the state from granting any titles except for military and academic distinctions. Now, right to freedom covers Articles 19 to 22. Article 19 in particular guarantees 6 freedoms. So these are the freedom of speech and expression, freedom to assemble peacefully, freedom to form associations, freedom to move freely within India, freedom to reside and settle anywhere in India, and finally, freedom to practice any profession or business. Article 20 provides protection in respect of conviction for offences. It prohibits ex post facto laws, prevents double jeopardy, and it also protects against self-incrimination.
Article 21 is all about protection of life and personal liberty. It basically ensures that no person shall be deprived of their life or liberty except according to the procedure established by law. Over time, this article has been expanded to include the right to privacy, the right to a clean environment, the right to die with dignity, and, well, several other fundamental aspects of living a dignified life. Now, moving on to Article 21A, this one guarantees the right to education. It makes free and compulsory education a right for all children aged 6 to 14 years. So, these articles really do form the backbone of personal freedom and opportunity in our society. Article 22 deals with protection against arbitrary arrest and detention. What this means is, it provides safeguards against preventive detention, making sure no one is held without proper legal procedures. This is, a crucial safeguard for anyone facing the possibility of detention.
The right against exploitation is covered under Articles 23 and 24. Article 23 prohibits human trafficking and forced labor, making it clear that forced labor and human trafficking are strictly prevented. Then, Article 24 focuses on the prohibition of child labor. It bans the employment of children below 14 years of age in hazardous industries. These provisions are, honestly, essential for protecting the most vulnerable members of society from exploitation.
All right, so let's talk about the right to freedom of religion, covered under Articles 25 to 28. Article 25 is all about the freedom of religion. It guarantees everyone the freedom to practice, profess, and propagate any religion of their choice. This is, a really important part of establishing India's secular character. Then, moving on to Article 26, it's about the freedom to manage religious affairs. This means religious groups are allowed to manage their own institutions, which is a crucial aspect of religious autonomy. Now, Article 27 deals with freedom from religious taxes. Basically, it prevents the state from imposing any taxes that are used specifically for promoting or maintaining any particular religion. And Article 28, well, that one's about freedom from religious instruction in educational institutions. It prohibits religious instruction in schools that are fully funded by the state, making sure education remains secular. Let's move on to cultural and educational rights, yeah? Articles 29 and 30 cover these. Article 29 is about the protection of interests of minorities, safeguarding their cultural rights so their unique identities are respected. And Article 30, well, that gives minorities the right to establish and administer their own educational institutions, which is a key part of preserving their heritage and providing quality education within their communities. Now let's talk about the right to constitutional remedies, which is covered under Articles 32 to 35. Article 32 specifically gives citizens the right to approach the Supreme Court if their fundamental rights are being violated. It's basically a way to make sure these rights are actually enforced. This article also provides for several types of writs. For example, there's habeas corpus, which prevents unlawful detention. Then we've got mandamus, which directs officials to perform their duty. Prohibition is another writ, and it stops lower courts from overstepping their jurisdiction. Certiorari allows higher courts to review decisions made by lower courts. And finally, quo warranto prevents someone from occupying a public office if they're not legally entitled to it. Moving on, Article 33 allows Parliament to place certain restrictions on the fundamental rights of members of the armed forces. This is, to maintain discipline and proper functioning. Article 34 deals with restrictions during martial law, meaning that rights can be suspended during emergencies. And Article 35 gives Parliament the exclusive power to make laws regarding the enforcement of fundamental rights. Originally, there were 7 fundamental rights laid out in the Constitution. These are the right to equality, which is Articles 14 to 18, the right to freedom, Articles 19 to 22, the right against exploitation, that's Articles 23 and 24, the right to freedom of religion, Articles 25 to 28, cultural and educational rights, which are Articles 29 and 30, the right to property, which was Article 31 but was removed in 1978, and finally the right to constitutional remedies, which is Article 32. So why was the right to property actually removed? Well, the 44th Amendment Act of 1978 reclassified it as a legal right under Article 300A. This change was made, to prevent excessive litigation against government land acquisitions. Let's look at a few additional insights. Are fundamental rights absolute? No, they're not. They're subject to reasonable restrictions for things like public order, morality, and national security. Now, which fundamental rights are available only to citizens? Articles 15, 16, 19, 29, and 30 are exclusive to Indian citizens. And when it comes to Article 13 and judicial review, Article 13 provides for judicial review, which means courts can strike down laws that are unconstitutional. Right to privacy case, 2017. In the landmark Puttaswamy case, the Supreme Court declared the right to privacy as a fundamental right under Article 21. Kesavananda Bharati case, 1973. This case established the basic structure doctrine, ensuring that Parliament cannot alter the fundamental framework of the Constitution. Unnikrishnan versus State of Andhra Pradesh, 1993. This case recognized the right to education as a fundamental right, leading to the introduction of Article 21A. St. Stephen's College versus Delhi University, 1992. The Supreme Court ruled that St. Stephen's College, being a minority institution, had the right to reserve up to 50% of its seats for Christian students under Article 30, Clause 1 of the Indian Constitution. However, the remaining 50% of seats had to follow the general admission criteria set by Delhi University. This case upheld the autonomy of minority institutions in admissions, reinforcing Article 30. This detailed breakdown, I think, covers all aspects of fundamental rights. Let me know if you need further clarifications.